Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Caroline and today we're going to talk about some coping strategies for anxiety. Before we get into it, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications, like this video, share the video, and as always, you can always go follow me on my Instagram that's also called The Art of Being Ill. As you might know, back in 2020, I had a mental breakdown where I got depression and anxiety, and it turned out I also had ADD, but the first symptoms were really the depression and the anxiety. And personally for me, my anxiety was kind of like a phobia. I was incredibly afraid of COVID, which wasn't irrational, by the way, because I do get immune suppressive medicine, and in the beginning nobody really knew what that meant when it comes to COVID. So I was actually kind of one of those people in risk without really knowing, and that created this phobia for bacteria and stuff in general. And today I want to share 3 strategies that really helped me through my anxiety. So let's just get into it. The first strategy I want to share with you guys is breathing exercises. Breathing exercises is amazing at calming down your nervous system, and it works really fast, which means if you are in a situation where you're starting to feel anxious, just taking a deep breath can literally stop that anxiety because it will calm your nervous system. And learning different breathing techniques and practicing them regularly can actually help you manage your anxiety. And there are many types of breathing exercises. And I actually did a 7-day journey where each day I taught a new breathing exercise so that you could get into breathing exercises, trying some different breathing exercises and see what it did for you. If you haven't done this 7-day journey, I will link to it up here and you can go and check it out and see if there's any of the breathing exercises that might be for you. The second strategy I want to share with you is therapy. What kind of therapy? That's up to you. Personally, I was in psychotherapy. And this was a type of psychotherapy where you get in touch with your body and you kind of use your body to feel what's going on inside of you. And then you talk about it and you talk about the thought patterns and you try to change these thought patterns. And for me personally, talking about my anxiety with someone really helped. It really help me just put into words what is it exactly I'm afraid of, and why. And it's also because a lot of times I was told that my anxiety was irrational, which anxiety is often. But in my case, my anxiety wasn't actually that irrational. There was partially a rational part of it because it was COVID. Nobody knew COVID at the time. I do have Crohn's disease where I get immune suppressive medicines. So technically, my anxiety wasn't that irrational because nobody knew if I would live or die if I got COVID, because we had never seen that before, right? So even though my anxiety was over the top and thereby irrational, I was way more afraid than I probably should have been. I took way more precautions than I probably should. Then there was still a part of it that was rational. And that is something I learned in therapy. This whole don't blame myself so much, because it's actually not that irrational that I'm afraid of COVID. That it turned into a bacteria phobia full blown, no matter what bacteria it is, that's different. But it wasn't irrational. That's something I learned here. And often, anxiety is often irrational, but being able to put it into words, what it is you are afraid of, sometimes it can help you realize that maybe there isn't really that much to be afraid of, or the therapist can help you changing the thought patterns in different ways. So I really do recommend therapy. I will say, maybe if you're not really a therapy kind of person, or maybe you just are not comfortable with it, maybe writing down in a journal what you are afraid of and why you are afraid of it, working with yourself in that way, where you kind of put into words what your anxiety actually is. Maybe that can help you to get some different thought patterns. That's just a suggestion if you don't like to go to therapy. Another thing I just realized right now that I want to mention with therapy is also learning. A therapist can help you learn what to do in a situation where you are getting anxious. There is, of course, breathing exercises, but help you make a strategy for how you will act, what you will do if you start to get anxious. What do you need to do? Help you find out what you need to do in that situation so that you can feel more safe, because you know what to do if it happens. So that's something I just wanted to mention real quick, that is something a therapist can help you with. The third and last strategy I want to tell you guys about is, I don't know what to call it, but do what you need to do when you are anxious in order to still go into the world and function. So depending a little bit on what your anxiety is all about, of course, but for me, being out and about, even when we started to get vaccinated for COVID and COVID wasn't really that aggressive anymore and everything, I kept being so afraid of going out the door. I hated buying groceries, because then I brought these groceries that a lot of people have touched into my home, and I just got really obsessive about what I did when I was out. I would, well, first of all, sanitize my hands like all the time, but I would also keep a certain distance to people. I wore a mask way longer than other people did. I would not shake people's hands. I would not hug them. I had like little rituals. So for example, at work, if I was going to eat my lunch, well, I can't touch my lunchbox unless I wash my hands, and then I could touch my lunchbox. Then if I had to open a door into the lunchroom, I would grab my shirt and open with it, so I didn't touch the lunchbox with what was on the handle. And I had a lot of these small ideas. I would also, when I got home, not if I had been to work, but if I had been out where, for example, with my niece, it's hard to not have physical contact with a child that loves you. So if she had hugged me, if I had been sitting in other people's couches or in a bus or whatnot, that's not something I did often, but if I had been like at somebody's house, right? And been sitting on their couch, sitting in chairs, touching their stuff, I would actually take a shower when I got home in order to just feel like I washed all risks off me of bacteria. And at home, I would always wash my hands. I still do that. It's actually a pretty good idea to wash your hands when you get home, just in general, just if you want to avoid being sick all the time. But I would always wash my hands, and I would always sanitize my phone, which is actually not a bad idea either. The phone is probably the most contagious thing we have today because we touch it so much. So I would sanitize that, and I would also, if I bought groceries, I would wash my groceries. And even if I had washed them, I would still sanitize every time. If I took, if I was going to take an apple, I would open the bag with the apples and then sanitize, take the apple and then close it and sanitize and then eat the apple. So I did a lot of stuff that was very time consuming and very exhausting. And I was talking to my therapist about this at one point, this whole all the things I did just to be out and about, just visiting family and stuff, like everything I went through just to visit family and how exhausting it was. And he said to me, well, You know, the most important thing is that you're not isolating yourself at home. The most important thing is that you actually do go to work, that you do go to families' houses, that you do go grocery shopping, that you do get out into the world, because if you isolate yourself at home, it's just going to get worse. So if you keep going into the world, even though you have all these things you feel like you have to do when you go outside, just do it anyway. Because the more comfortable you will be being outside, being at work, being with friends, family, the less you'll need to do these things. And I think he was right. I think that's a really good advice. Do what you need to do to feel protected when you are out, and out of your comfort zone, and in situations that can give you anxiety. Do what you need to do to protect yourself, or what you feel you need to do to protect yourself. It's probably irrational, but still just do it. And then, of course, don't let it consume your life. It's not like you're just going to do this till the day you die. But the first step is really getting outside the door. The first step is getting into the real world, starting to go out with your friends, go to family events, go to work, all these things. And then if there are some obsessive things like me you need to do in order to do that, do it. Because the most important thing is that you don't isolate yourself at home. And it's easier said than done, I know. This is not, like, I'm still struggling. Like, I still sanitize. I still wash my hands, and I sanitize my phone when I get home. I don't wash my groceries, but if my groceries are new, I will sanitize every time I touch them. I sanitize before I eat with my hands. I still have these ideas in my head that something I need to do, but compared to how much I used to do, it's nothing. So my point is really, do what you need to do to feel safe out in the world. And then the more safe you become, the more you will also see that you start to be more relaxed. And then you can start practicing doing less of the protection stuff. I can give you an example. In the beginning, when I was sanitizing my phone, for example, when I got home, and there's nothing rational about this, but I would do it with I had these sanitizing napkins that kills 99% of all virus and bacteria. And I would use 4 of those on my phone every time I got home. 4. And 1 wasn't enough, even though it kills 99% of all viruses and bacteria. I was still using 4. Then I used 3. And now I'm actually down to 2. I'm pretty proud of myself. My goal is 1 because I do think it's a good idea to sanitize, especially because I work in a school. I think it's a really good idea to sanitize my phone when I get home. But my goal is, of course, 1. And I don't wash my groceries anymore. So there are things that I used to do that I don't do anymore in order to protect. I don't take a shower when I get home from family events. I might do it if I have been to a concert or something where I feel like I've been, but that's also just because you feel a little bit disgusting. But there are things I don't do anymore. But in the beginning, I allowed myself to do all the things I thought I needed to do to protect myself in order to actually go out and experience something and be with friends and family and not just isolate myself. And then gradually, I do less and less. And so I think that's also, allow yourself to do that. That's perfectly fine. I hope you could use these 3 coping strategies for anxiety. Like I said, you can go check out my 7-day journey of breathing exercises. The link is up here if you want to try that. And I will just see you next time right here on my channel, The Art of Being Ill. Have a blessed rest of the day.